Hello and welcome to Read the Last Page,
A Yap Session
book club.
with your two favorite long-distance best friends.
The book I read this month is The Mercury 13 by Martha Ackmann.
Yes, and since we finally read the last page, let's talk about it. Hi, B. How are you with your brand new haircut and
Oh my gosh.
your new sense of life, post bangs and nasal infection?
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah, I just re-trimmed my bangs yesterday, so they're fresh.
Yes.
And yeah, I had like a sinus infection for like at least a week. I think more. I think it was like a week and a half.
Yeah, that sounds
I
horrible.
got medicine for it because I kind of also had an ear infection too. Like she looked at my ear and said that it was red, and but it hasn't drained all the way. It's been 2 weeks and my ear is still like I can't hear out of it fully. I can tell that there's like fluid in it. So
Wow.
yeah, it's like annoying because it's like I finished my amoxicillin. So yeah, but I feel totally fine. Like I don't feel sick anymore, so that's good because I was feeling very sick. Which is why this episode is coming
Kind of late.
so late because I was traveling, it was the holidays, then I got back and I was sick, so
Yeah.
it's
been I was thinking today, I was like, it feels like it's been like we've lived lives since the last time we sat down to talk.
I don't even remember what our last episode was.
It was a Yap session. I remember we talked mostly about video games.
Oh my gosh, that was so long ago.
I know, but it's like it doesn't feel like it because we saw each other like 3 weeks ago or something. So haha, you guys, Laura and I saw each other in person, and we didn't film it because we were watching Stranger Things.
It was so good, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so excited because we've got a week until the new episodes. So
I know. I need to decide like
what you're gonna do.
Yeah, because like Seth and I are gonna be together on Christmas Day. It's like
yeah, right. Like what comes first, you know?
I need to watch my show though.
What time is it for the show? That feels like me circa 2019 Little Women, where I was like genuinely telling my family, I'm like, we gotta wrap up this present stuff fast. Like I genuinely have to figure out when I'm seeing Little Women.
Yeah, that was good.
Iconic.
Do you think you'll go to the movie theater to see the one on New Year's?
Oh my god, wait, yeah, isn't that being released in theaters? Is that like widely being released, or is it mostly just AMC's that you know of? Because unfortunately, I live in a town with only like local chain movie theaters, so we don't really get the cool stuff.
I guess I don't know, because it's at AMC, which is there's like 1 million in New York. So
right. Well, will you go?
I'm trying to decide because it's like I don't really have anyone to go with.
Oh,
so
is Seth not in it like that? He kind of told us that actually on Thanksgiving. I forgot.
he actually likes horror.
Sure.
But I think he's maybe watched a bit of the beginning. But I was telling him, I was like, part of me thinks like, okay, like me and him, we should just like watch it all and catch him up, and then we can watch the rest of season 5 together.
Yeah.
But then I was telling him, I was like, but if you don't like it the way I like it, like that's just not gonna be good. Like for right now, where I'm watching it for the first time.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. No, it's true.
I was like, in a few years, it's okay. We can just watch it together, and it can just be like fun and woo. We're watching it, but I'm like, but right now, it's like a little bit serious. So
yes, there is kind of nothing worse than like showing somebody something that like you're very very into, and then they're only mildly into it, and then you feel a little insane.
right like
I really
he might be really into it, but what if he's not?
Yeah, we don't want to take the
like,
risk.
I don't know. So
I get that. And it's also like every time you have watched Stranger Things in the past, you've done it with somebody who's been equally as into it as you have, so it's been a pretty good batting average there for you. So it's like you don't want to, especially for the final episode, you don't want to try to it's a lot. You don't have anyone else in New York that you know is a big fan of Stranger Things?
I don't know, maybe one of my friends, but I don't even know if she's gonna be in the city for New Year's, so I don't know. I'm kind of also wanting to rewatch all the seasons.
I kind of want to do that also.
I know. I am kind of considering it. So then it's like I need to time it and plan it.
Yeah.
And then it's like also like I only have a laptop. So I'm like,
yeah.
should I go to Seth's house like while he's working and like I just sit in the living room and watch it on his TV alone while he works?
Seth, listen, we can make a really I'll be on your side. We can together make a plea. It's actually so funny because we did kick poor Seth out of his room at your house. Like,
Yeah.
Seth, hey, nice to meet you, Seth. So good. By the way, Seth rocks. So like then for the first time.
Yay,
it was
I'm
so
glad you
nice and
think
sweet.
so.
Yes, he was
Yeah,
great.
he
He was
is.
great. But almost immediately after maybe a good like half an hour or so of getting to know him, I was like, you do have to stay up here while I take over the bedroom for the night because we're watching Stranger Things. And he was so
Yeah.
cool about it. So points for him for that because that was really nice. But
Yeah.
yeah,
He had to
it's
sleep
funny.
up in the twin size bunk bed that I was staying up in for the rest of the trip.
You sent me a voice message that I was cracking up listening to where you're like, it's like midnight. I don't even know. It's like past the normal time to be sending a voice message. And Laura sends me a message and she goes, I literally just hit my head so hard on the ceiling. Or something. And I was like, what? Like, it's so funny, but like you say a line where you're like, I don't know how, like, what the average amount of times like you're supposed to hit your head or a normal person hits their head in like a day or like a year, but like I do it far too often.
I really do.
That is so funny to me. I don't know why.
I really do. I feel like maybe that's like contributes to why I get headaches all the time. Because I'm just banging it around. I don't know.
That could be it. I don't know. Someone told me, I told that story to somebody and they were like, is she concerned about the brain cell loss? I was like, I don't know.
No, I didn't
I'm
even
like,
think
she's
about
very
that.
smart, so I don't think so. I think she's fine. Math
I was more
major.
concerned that I like dented the ceiling.
Mm.
Like it literally, to me, it literally sounded like crack.
That's crazy.
But the ceiling was fine and my head was fine. So
That's so
Yeah.
funny. It was really fun. It made my day. I like that voice message.
good. But well, how are you doing
Oh
since I last saw you?
Well, like I said, I feel like it's been years.
Yeah.
And you know most of what's been going on with me because we talked. But let's see. After seeing you for Thanksgiving, which was so nice, I came back and I had to really like crack down for finals. So I
Right.
completed my first semester of grad school. Hooray, hooray, hooray.
Yay! Everyone cheers
Everyone
for Dan.
Thank you. But yeah, it was like just like a tough. Oh my god, it's just like
Yeah.
I spent the day it was due. I literally spent like 15 hours straight, just like finishing it up and making sure it like sounded fine. And then
Oh my gosh.
I remember like that whole week leading up to it. I was like kind of stressed, but I was mostly like keeping my calm, and I was like, I'm handling this grad school stuff so well. Like I'm like, this is good. Like I'm really keeping my like composure. Like a lot of people kept coming up to me and they were like, it's gonna get better. Like don't worry. And I was like, I'm truly okay.
Yeah.
And then I turned it in literally at midnight. Went to bed, woke up the next day, immediately sick. And I was like, oh my God. And my body did that to me every semester during college because I was like holding the stress in, you know? And the second that, you know, I think it's like your body does that thing where like it will like kind of like ward off like the sickness until like
it's like
it knows
suppressing
you can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I was
That's
like,
crazy.
oh yeah, the day after I finish it up and I'm like the relief is there.
Yeah.
And then my body's like, cool, we can invade.
Now we can deal with yeah.
yeah.
Gosh.
The white cells can
Yeah, I feel
that.
like everyone's getting sick.
Yeah, literally every person I've told that I've gotten sick has been like, something's going around. I'm like, yeah true.
Cuz like I got sick when I was home, and then I came back to New York, and my two sisters, Kelly and Mary, two of my sisters, Mary and Kelly, we were all sick with like what seemed like the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, like we were all like sick for like a week and a half. Like
Ay, ay, ay.
I guess sinus infection for all of us, but yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, no, like I get so nervous every time I have like because like the first day of like almost any kind of infection sickness you have, it's like you get like a sore throat kind of,
Right.
and then you're like, what could that be? It could literally be anything. And so I was obviously scared it was COVID, or like strep. And then like I was so relieved it was just a cold. I was like, oh, this goes by fast.
Yeah.
I just gotta ride it out.
That's good.
But yeah, so I'm just in that stage of it though where I'm like coughing a lot. So I like keep having to like leave my desk at work to like go hack up a lung in the bathroom. Then like,
my
hey
gosh.
guys, nothing happened. It's fine. But
dang.
Yeah. But otherwise I've been good. So again, sorry for sounding congested to everybody. But
it's okay. It's cute.
Thanks.
I have a few show and tells that are book-ish related.
Show the audience, aka me.
Okay, so I got a new planner.
Oh.
Look how cute it is.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
I need to pull that thing off. But here's the design.
Is it blue?
Yeah, it's blue. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm very particular about my planners. Mm-hmm. And the way that the days are. And this is my favorite brand. It's Day Designer from Blue Sky. And specifically this one that's like a square. Mm-hmm. And for the viewers, it's kind of hard to see because I have my ring light on. So it's like...
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting any of that, I'll be honest. I'll describe it for the audience. Okay, yes. Yes, so there's... I'm really not... Okay, I kind of get it. It's like a square.
I'm really excited. I bought it, and it's accidentally July 2025 to June 2026. Oh. So I'm just starting it in January, and then when I get to July, I'm just going to renumber the days, and it's fine.
Because smarter for real. That's
literally so cute, and it's exactly what I want, so I'm just keeping it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And I made a new candle, roasted marshmallow, vanilla bean, cranberry prosecco, and spiced orange.
What?
And it's so good.
What is the vibe that's
Wish
giving?
You guys could smell.
Girl, I literally wish I could smell that so bad right now.
It's almost like... It's sort of like Fruity Pebbles, but more sophisticated.
Interesting. Like sophisticated Fruity Pebbles.
Because like the cranberry and the spiced orange, but then it has like, I have to have white in there. I have roasted marshmallow and vanilla bean,
She says white is so funny, but I get it. Yeah. Like I think I have whipped cream in like every single one of my candles I've made.
Exactly.
That's good.
My little sister, so I had like a Christmas with my family, so I got some gifts when I was home, and my little sister got me this cute public library bookmark. It looks like the thing at the like libraries where you'd write your book and stuff. I just think it's so cute. And it's like laminated. It's like really sturdy. So
cute. Yeah.
And then my mom, this is so cute. She got me one of those journals where you write your book in there.
Yeah. Wait, how fun.
So maybe I'll start rating books.
I was going to ask that, but I assumed you would just be like, no, I'm just going to write my thoughts and leave that blank.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, and then, wait, at the bottom it says other books to read by this author. That's great.
A good
idea. Yeah. So I thought that was cute. I wanted to show the pod.
Right.
And then also, one of my other sisters got me new headphones. These are the same ones that I'm wearing.
Oh my gosh.
But these are my old ones. I haven't set these ones up yet, but mine are like totally getting destroyed. Like, you can kind of see like the foam inside, and like this is taped up over here, and like they're just like kind of disintegrating because I wear them literally all the time. But I love them. They're perfect. So, but it's one of those things where it's like I couldn't bring myself to spend the money to buy a new pair when technically these work fine.
Sure, I get that.
But like I really wanted a new pair, and so my sisters got me them.
That's so nice.
So I'm really excited about that. Now I can have like a clean pair, and then the ones that I'm wearing, like if I want to wear my big headphones to the gym, it's like, okay, I can sweat in them and it's fine.
Right.
They'll
Yeah.
just be
Wait,
my
that's so
dirty pair.
smart. Okay. Heck yeah.
Yeah, so that was just some of my, I don't know, I just wanted to show
Yeah.
things.
Cute. Well, yeah, that's so nice.
Okay, shall we start talking about our book?
Yeah, I guess so. You guys, what the heck? We read a nonfiction book.
I know.
We're
Isn't
so
that
crazy.
That's the first one of the pod. No.
Well, we can count.
Second one.
Yeah, we can count like memoirs, but this is like a
Right.
real like informative history kind of book. So it felt different in a lot of ways. It felt new.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't like first person account.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So to give a debrief or an overview, there's not really spoilers for this, I feel.
No.
The Mercury 13 is about 13 women that were part of basically getting space exploration started, and sort of the main contribution of these 13 women as a whole was that they were doing like tests.
It was like a research program that they were a part of
to see if they would be like physically able and also mentally able to be a part of space exploration in, you know, launching out of our gravity. And they were really trying to, well, many of them were really wanting women to have a greater place at the table. And of course there was like a million roadblocks and barriers, but it's really about mainly one woman. I feel like Jerry Cobb, she's sort of the main focus, but also like the women surrounding her and all these pilots. A lot of them, I think almost all of them were pilots of, you know, like regular airplanes, and so they felt like those skills could transfer into like being on a space flight. So just about sort of these unrecognized women that, you know, were part of getting man on the moon, really. But their contribution wasn't necessarily recognized or seen as necessary or important. So this author, Martha Ackmann, really like synthesized a lot of like biographies of some of these women and different accounts from different people to give like a well-rounded like look at how mainly Jerry Cobb went from just being like a pilot who was like breaking records to almost being part of like space mission, and then like all the women that were part of it along the way, I guess, is my overview.
Yeah, that was good.
Feel free to add.
I don't think I have. I think I don't even know how we're gonna really format this specific episode, because like you said, there's no really spoilers. It's just history.
It's history, yeah.
And it's like everything we're gonna talk about is gonna be explored. Like, I mean, everything that I want to explain kind of more in the synopsis we're gonna talk about later. So it's just like, if that gives you, if you just don't know yet, if you want to read this book, I think that kind of gives you like a good kind of understanding of what it's about. There's also like, you know, like I didn't know a lot about the Mercury 13 at all before starting this book. I just don't know. I'm also like very like, I don't know a whole lot about, you know, our space race and like a lot to do with space at all. And so really what drew me in here was I was a women gender studies minor in college, and so like I was really intrigued by like the women's history aspect of it all. And so that's truly like the pull there is like, if you're interested in space and or women's history, I think this is just like a fabulous recount of a really like historic and like it's such a complicated feeling. It's a very hopeful kind of story, but like it's not going to work for years. And so you feel like they're making such progress and advancements, but you also know that like history unfortunately takes time to like to actually like start making real progress for a lot of people. So anyway,
that's the other thing I was gonna say is like there's a lot of like commentary on gender and the gender norms, and it sort of made me think of last year we read Lessons in Chemistry.
I wrote that down.
Yeah, I mean this was like an actual real life. This was like,
I was like, not to be, I wrote down in my notes, I said, not to be that person who's like, wow, fiction is inspired by real life.
but literally.
But I was like, God, it's so interesting actually getting like the real historical point of view from women who like went through like just, I don't know, real, like they had to make real progress. It's just.
Right.
It's interesting. But so as if you guys are somebody who like maybe you don't pick up nonfiction very often. I like nonfiction. I don't read it nearly as much as I read fiction books. I would say this actually was a very interesting book to pick up because it's it's very informative. There's like it's very like there's a lot that you have to lock in for and like truly like focus on because we're dropping new names, especially in the first few chapters, like so much. There's a lot you have to really just wrap your head around, remember, stuff like that. But I think it's really interesting because it's a true history book. It doesn't ever feel like a textbook. At least when I was reading it, it never felt like that. It was dense at some points, but I think it was also like the author leans into the narrative of it all so well, and like her prose can be quite beautiful. So it's like I think it's just like really like by the end of this, all of these women felt like actual colorful characters that like I knew and like rooted for, and like I think it was a really beautiful way to like write history down. And so even if you're not somebody who, is interested in reading nonfiction, or maybe if you're somebody who like doesn't know if you want to sit down and like read a book about space or about history or whatever, I think like maybe give this a shot, give like the audiobook a shot, give whatever a shot, see if it like speaks to you at all, because it is a really interesting story that I think is not widely covered very much in history. So yeah, I learned a lot. Yeah. It was so nice.
Yeah, it was interesting. So the reason that we chose this is my favorite math professor from college, he recommended it to me. He recommended a good little list of basically like nonfiction, like historicals, or maybe not too far in the past, but like nonfiction about women and their role in usually different like STEM areas. And I was drawn to this one because I really love space and like astronomy, but I actually don't know a ton about like the actual logistics of like the spacecraft itself. I know more about like the cosmos, if that makes sense.
That's so but I was true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was just like, oh, like space exploration, like that's cool, and also like about women.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he gave me that list, I think like earlier this year or something. I don't remember exactly, but I was like, okay, I want to make it a goal of mine to read one of the books from his list. So then I got Dan on board too. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed learning. Again, thinking back to Lessons in Chemistry, it's like I enjoyed reading that book for so many reasons. And then reading this, it's like, it's almost like you feel justified. I felt justified, like, I don't know how to say it in words, like, that this really happened. Like when I was reading Lessons in Chemistry or like other books like that, it's like you feel like, oh, it's so frustrating that like women didn't have these opportunities back in the past, but then you're like, well, but this is just a fiction book. But it's like, no, this is like real. This really happened, you know?
Right. And like I kept sometimes I feel like so unworldly because I truly don't read a whole lot of books about like real true events that aren't. I will say a lot of the nonfiction books I even read are quite pop culture based, so I wouldn't say that's adding so much to my overall intelligence.
Okay.
But you know, I kept thinking throughout this book, I was like, at risk of sounding so dumb, I was just like, wow, like, it's so nice to know about the past. Like, I was just like, because, you know, okay, I get so, I think, caught up in just, like, the present day. I'm really, like, I feel like so much of life for everybody is just putting out little fires about, like, current day politics, current day dilemmas, issues, things that are happening that are just, like, kind of scary on a day-to-day basis, but then it's just like also kind of like looking back and like really cementing yourself in like this thing that happened. What like if this was in 1960, it's about 60 years ago, so it's such like it's so recent, and it's also like it still took years for anything to happen with women going into space, and it feels like so nice to be reminded of like the huge footsteps that came before us just right now. It's nice. Like, I feel like this book like slapped me in the face a little bit, and Lessons in Chemistry did the same thing. Like, it's just like remembering your history, guys. It's so important, specifically like if you, and also I know this book is so like American based, so it's like if you guys aren't from America, I don't know how important this is for anybody. I mean, it is pretty monumental because like we are talking about like the space race and like, you know,
in general,
but it's just like specifically I think for being like a young woman living in America, and especially for you too, like you took so much interest in STEM, and you have your math degree, things like that. Like it's like so much exists now because of just like specifically to just like these women, but also just women in general around this time. They were great.
Well, that actually, like, so that feeling you're describing is how I felt after I saw the musical Suffs on Broadway. Which I actually had a really specific moment in the book that reminded me of that, because when I watched Suffs, which is about like the women marching for the right to vote, I was like, wow, like this wasn't that many generations ago that these women were doing something so brave and courageous, and now I'm benefiting from like their hard work, you know, and their like the danger that they put themselves in. And I felt similarly reading this book, because it's like, you know, there is so much more progress to be made, but it's nice to look back and not get complacent and be like, oh well, we have so much now, so we should just be fine, but just like be like grateful for what the women have done before us. But
she's
on page on page 138,
yes,
this is when I think that they're like at a dinner or something, they're talking, and it's Jackie Cochran is saying that women have always been a little bit behind their brothers. They should, I believe, accept this delay and not get into the hair of the public authorities about it. She's basically saying like, you know, women's time will come, but we need to not be like pushing so hard. But then Jerry Cobb is like, I'm not going to sit back and just like let them Like, I'm not going to sit back and let that happen. I'm going to do something
Yeah.
about it. Literally in Suffs, which also is, based on real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember the names of the women, but they're like real women in history. But there's one woman who is sort of the head of this suffragettes like movement, and she's a little bit older than some of the like newer women
Mm-hmm.
that are joining the group, and the newer bright-eyed women are like they're a little bit younger. They're like, we need to be doing this and we need to be doing more and we need to, and then the older woman who's sort of been there for a while, she's like, no, you don't understand, like we need to stay in our place, like yes, we need to speak out, but don't speak out like that, basically. And the younger women are like, what do you mean, like we need to do something or nothing's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes some tension between sort of the older generation of the women and the younger generation of the women, which I feel like it was just so similar to this. And we're talking about like two very real historical things, and then like in the musical, like then the younger women, then they become sort of the leaders of the group, and then the new younger women are like, why aren't we doing XYZ? And they're like, no, you don't understand, we need to,
Yeah.
and it's just like this cycle. Like the musical stuff's really showed it as sort of a cycle of like, you come in and you're ready to fight, and then as time goes on you're like, well, this is the way of the world and we need to. And here we are again seeing it, that same sort of thing where
Mm-hmm.
sort of the older generation who's been in the fight maybe a little longer is like, we need to stand in our place and
Mm-hmm.
be behind the men and wait for our time to come. And Jerry Cobb, being a little bit younger, more tenacious, is like, no, I'm gonna go ask and I'm gonna go do it. And I don't know, I just thought that was so interesting to see that same pattern in two very real historical contexts. And it's like, okay, that's probably happening in so many groups in so many places, not just about like women's rights, but like, everywhere. Like, I don't know, I just thought that was so interesting to see that same exact thing happening when the women were trying to get the right to vote, and now like the women trying to get the right to be seen equal as men in the workplace, in the Space Force, like in whatever,
Yes. That's so true.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I was thinking about Hamilton, but I was in a way.
Not Hamilton.
Not Hamilton. But in a way I was like, wow, it's kind of like giving like George Washington and Alexander Hamilton.
Wait, okay, but yeah, literally.
Yeah, but I was like, wait, okay, let's not male center this conversation.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
It's not about George Washington and Alexander Hamilton. This is about women. Yeah. No, it's so true. There's such an interesting quote in the foreword that it kind of has to do with what you were saying. But I think it's just more so about women in general. But I loved this because I always find forewords so interesting, especially because everyone kind of ties it to their own personal journey with whatever the story's about. And this was written by, who did the foreword? Someone named Lynn Sure. I'm so sorry if she's very influential in the space community. I do not know.
Okay.
But let's see. Okay, so the foreword talks about the Challenger spacecraft, which I guess there's two very important things that you should know about the Challenger. But the first is that Sally Ride was on the Challenger, which is a very, very, very famous female astronaut. And also many years later, the Challenger, not many years, but a few years later, the Challenger exploded and ended up killing, I believe there was like maybe one or two astronauts and a school teacher, female astronaut, sorry, and a school teacher, and then a couple male astronauts too. Anyway, so this is all to say, this is after this book takes place, but there's a line that says, let's see. She was talking about one of the astronauts who passed away, and she said, I'm really going to miss Judy. I'm going to miss getting to have a reunion when we're all 80 years old. That just leads us into the quote I actually want to give you. That she could even imagine a reunion illustrates the point of women in space today. We take it for granted that women will fly and perhaps die in space, and it didn't used to be that way at all. I just think it's so... I love the idea that this book starts with the fact that we take for granted that women will fly and perhaps die in space. Like, I think there's such an interesting way to start this book with that quote, because we're understanding right off the bat kind of where this book currently is in history, which is very much where I came in from. The standpoint of just like not knowing anything about the Mercury 13, or really, I don't care much about space. I know it's important to know the history of space, of course, and I care so much about women and women's history. So this is why I was really interested in this book. I will never, and so sorry to these men, I will never read a book about the Mercury 7. I'm so sorry to those men, but that doesn't interest me. I'll read the Wikipedia page. Anyway, but it's like we take for granted the idea that we can just go to space, specifically as Americans. That's insane, and we've been just doing that for 60 years. And the fact that women now are able to go to space, but also it's such a life-threatening, almost like risk take. Like, it is dangerous, and we're going to this book understanding the historical importance and the threat of it all, and why there's so much on these women's shoulders the entire time they are going through these obstacles and these regimens and this recruitment of sorts, to not even just be like, all hurry up and wait. It's just really interesting to, I don't know, I found that to be really striking. It's also definitely. Just, I think there's just a lot to be said about the fact that so many women are just so tied to their relationship with the space. In a way, the space race, but in a larger sense, just I just think about STEM in general. Is really intriguing. I'm thinking also about the movie Hidden Figures. It's like there's a real tie to these women. The very last quote in this book, or the very last line in this book, is about Jerry Cobb, and they're watching the space shuttle Columbia take off, and there's a woman in that spacecraft, and she puts her hand down on the ground, and the very last line is because she wants to feel the ground rumble as the spacecraft explodes off the ground. And I just think it's there's such a connection there. There's such a pull to that. I just feel like in that line alone, it's I think specifically these women feel such a pull to and tie and love to the overall feeling and, I don't know, experience of just loving space. It was so interesting. I really felt their love through the pages, and Jerry Cobb specifically, I think she's just I don't know, imagine being the type of woman to fight so hard and just you don't get it. And you don't get to be the one, but you get to see your efforts kind of actually come true in a way. It's so interesting. And
because I think there's so many things, since we're talking about musicals,
sure,
with artists of any medium, it's I feel the general public understands that an artist feels very passionate and connected to their work, and that real sort of passion, I feel isn't always as easily understood when it's something more technical.
But
I feel these women, like, they do have, like, I think a passion for, like, yes, the flying and or the space exploring, but also just for, like, they have a passion to be seen as capable, you know?
Yes,
And
so
like
true.
that like really drives them. And I feel like, not that no man ever feels passion for what they're doing. I think they do. I think they do a lot, but
Yes.
like but the men specifically in this setting, like, they're not, well, some of them were like really trying to help these women, but a lot of them were not, and were very dismissive and making jokes about their desires. And it's like they couldn't possibly fathom how how it feels for the women who are being told no but still want to do something, because these men, if they want to do something, they can.
They get it. They get
you know
it. There's like, that's why I thought, there's a recurring kind of thread, I would say, throughout this book, where our boy John Glenn keeps coming into relevance, I guess. And I mean, I don't know John Glenn so much. I just know about him as an astronaut. But I just thought that was so like him and Jerry Cobb. I just thought that was such an interesting kind of like duo there, because I think in a lot of ways, if you took away just the time and what the public was thinking of them, and also kind of what they were able to achieve based on like what people would allow them to achieve, I feel like, just like based on the qualifications and passion, things like that, they're so equal in so many ways. But obviously John Glenn is a man, and so basically anything he says, whether or not he's educated in the topic or whatever, really gets taken seriously. There was like that moment where he was at the congressional hearing, and somebody mentions how John Glenn didn't have an engineering degree. And the only reason why he was awarded an engineering degree was because essentially his school was like, yeah, basically you're training for to be an astronaut. So like, that's like equal amount of education. So like, we'll give you a degree. And it's like, you were able to pass training and testing for this without having the correct requirements and standards. Meanwhile, so it's like, therefore, exceptions should be made, because we're not in pursuit of checking boxes, we're in pursuit of great astronauts.
Right.
And so I thought, like, it's like John Glenn, for example, was like told, you technically don't meet the standards to be an astronaut, but we still let you.
Right.
Because you're a man. And you're standing here being like, well, women can't be astronauts and go into space because of societal norms. We can't mess with society because it's too ingrained in us, and it's just going to mess with our normal roles in our culture. And so it's like, that is so true to what you were saying, of just like, and I do think John Glenn, in a lot of ways, was on the right side of history throughout his life. This is not a time where he was. And it's just, I thought it was so interesting. Like, he really got smacked in the face with the truth there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, men will never kind of, in a lot of ways, fully get that plight of like, I want it so bad, I deserve it so bad, it's not the right time in history.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, women can be so qualified and can be overqualified.
Yeah.
But like, there was one part, and a man can be underqualified, but still be given greater responsibility. There was one part where they were saying, page 90, they said, they were talking about actually the Kansas City woman,
they kept
Sarah,
bringing up Casey. I was
Kansas
like,
City,
oh my god,
with a math degree. I was like, I feel her.
Exactly.
But at AT&T or wherever she was working, all of the women were assistant things.
Yes.
Even though she has like a degree from a college, and some of the men there only had high school education, but they were like the engineers, and she was like the assistant engineer. And it's like, so what? It's like the women are more qualified in many cases, but they're never. You have to prove yourself way above and beyond. Whereas it's like, and I know nothing beyond this book about what qualifies you to be like a space pilot, but I would say that it was totally fine that John Glenn didn't meet all of the standard requirements, but they knew based on his other skills that he was qualified and he could learn and be good at it. And it's like, why can't they just couldn't comprehend that same sort of personal look at an individual could be extended to the women as well.
Yeah.
Or the other minorities,
Yeah. You know what else is crazy is also the fact, after the congressional hearing, they talked about how John Glenn specifically just ended up on vacation with the Kennedys. And like John F. Kennedy goes to him, you would have such a good career in politics if you wanted to explore that. And he does. And he has a successful career post being a space pilot in politics. And then he goes back up into space as an elderly man to test if elderly people can handle space flight. Sorry, I'm just like, in a peace and love to John Glenn. I don't know him like that. But like, and if he's problematic in ways I don't know about, no peace and love. I don't know you guys. No one get mad at me for my lack of history knowledge.
No one's going to get mad. It's okay.
But it's like, it's just so interesting. It's so crazy because it's also like, God, throughout this book, I was like, Jerry Cobb, you are like so, like, she's very intense and like in the ways where she kind of had to be at that time. And like, incredibly intelligent and like so good at what she does, like so good at her craft. And unfortunately it's like no one was ever gonna give her, I mean, with exception to a few people, but really very little people paid her mind or gave her the respect or the time that she really deserved. And it seemed like even though he was very qualified, whatever, it's just so interesting to see John Glenn's path compared to Jerry Cobb's path. And I mean, I'm sure she had a very happy, well-lived life, just continuing flying. And I think she went to the Amazons and things like that.
What a crazy cool life.
She lived a real life, a full life.
Yeah.
But it's just really kind of upsetting just to think, what could have been, like what other paths could she have taken?
Right.
If she were afforded the same opportunities. It's quite upsetting to read, but
another like sort of eye-opening moment was when someone said, I think in the hearing, but it might have been a different time, like, did anyone ever consider that maybe the men didn't want the women to continue doing the test because they would realize that they're just as qualified, if not more?
Oh, hey guys, and that is actually true because the 13 women, so many of them actually outperformed the men in the physical and mental aspects.
And it's like, it's infuriating to read. I mean, I'm sure it was way more infuriating to live, but to read it now and think about the ways that those sort of biases still are, in our lives, of like, the men set the rules.
Yeah. Then
when the women are about to breach the rules or like, fulfill their requirement, since the men are in charge, they can just change them.
Yeah.
So that the women can never, could never reach, and it's just like, because I don't know, it's just like you're so scared of having a female coworker. Like, I just, it's just like crazy.
The kind of things that kept popping up in this book of like, concerns we can have as men about why women shouldn't be in space or just working alongside us like this. It's just like, you know, the period conversation came
so
up.
much talk about menstruation. I'm like,
I was like,
oh my
guys.
gosh.
They're like, you guys get really sloppy and like angry and like suicide rates go up. And I'm like, yeah, well, sounds like actually a case for put maybe more research into women's
Right.
health.
Right, exactly.
I'm kind of confused.
That's how I felt when it said something like on page 45 it was going to be inconvenient to catch the women up, like, because the men's testing had been going on for so long and they were so far into their research, it was going to be inconvenient to catch the women up. It's like, all right, well, it's never going to be convenient, so the women just have to never ever have research done on them ever.
It's so fascinating because it really, in my head, since I'm living in such a, and obviously not perfect, but I'm living in such a post this time where, like, you know, women are offered a lot more opportunities than they were in the 60s. It is so hard to kind of, in a way, wrap your head around the fact that the men kept stalling in hopes that, like, the conversations would just go away. But, like, you know, you're like, yeah, so, like, what is the point here? Because, like, at some point, women are gonna have to be introduced into this club, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like, we can't just keep going. Like, it's like, it's just so fascinating to me, like, that, like, there were so many people for so long that were convinced they can stay in those times. And it didn't seem like it would ever be an issue that people would want in to, like, just, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and, like, and that conversation of, like, sort of the men, like physically men being the standard and women being the variant.
Yeah.
Like,
God.
that, page 63 for anyone who cares. Like that's just so it's so upsetting to read as a woman, to think that like a large group of men or even women would see like see women as a whole as like not exactly like a full complete being, but like an other to men. And you know, this book is about the space race and being a pilot, and but like when you think about that, it really starts to like there was so much in this book that you see the gender bias and discrimination like bleeding into all facets of life. Like that's such a health you know, like in the health world, the lack of testing, not just for space flight, but like just medical testing in general, always testing on like the white man and not any other type of person that's like physiologically different. Like, you know, that's an issue, and it's like that bleeds into then the women not having the opportunity for space flight. Like, think of all the other things that affects, because it hasn't been convenient to test if it's okay for women's bodies to go through, or you know, and it's like it's so permeated into the entire society. You know?
Yeah, it's like awful. Yeah, it's awful.
It's just like frustrating to read.
Isn't it also just, I know you mentioned this kind of earlier, but I was like, I know a lot of people who are kind of, I mean, especially when I was in so many women gender studies classes, and I just remember a lot of people being like, God, that's so pointless to spend your money and time on. Like, why would you want to take those classes? Whatever. Every time I read anything about women's history, I just feel very vindicated, where I was like, God, the quotes from these books feel like a purposely like bad misogynistic movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, God, like,
Yeah.
if I read this or if I saw this quote in a movie, I'd be like, that is laughably awful. And like, why would anyone say that? But it's for real. Like people
No, they
actually said that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, when I read that, it's awful. But in a way, I'm like, this is why it's important. Are you crazy? Like, it's like, and this is still kind of happening. Like, it's like,
yeah.
well, you can still hear very important people in our life say some things that these men are saying, and it's
for
just,
sure.
it sucks. But anyway, there's also a quote though that I really liked, kind of about going what you were just talking about, but at some point the author wrote, there was this guise that men want to protect women, but really they just want to keep the field reserved for men.
Yes.
And I found that to be so just like, yeah. Like, and it feels so simple, but I was like, God, yeah. I mean, because like, obviously they were like, well, we don't want to put our wives through this. Like, what about their children? What about la la la? Like, it's not safe enough for women. Like, we don't want to put their bodies through this. And it's just like you were saying earlier, it was just an excuse for them to move the line just a little bit further. So that way it's like, okay, well, if there's always going to be, a risk, and it's always going to be a bigger risk for women, according to you, we just won't ever take the risk. We won't ever get in there. And then again, like we keep it a boys club only for as long as they want.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is sort of related. What's her name? Janie. Oh, that's the cutest name ever. Janie Hart. She said, I don't want to downgrade the feminine role of wife, mother, and homemaker, but I don't think either that it is unwomanly to be intelligent, to be courageous, to be energetic, to be anxious, to contribute to human knowledge. That's what some of these men, I feel, in this time were unwilling to accept that a woman is a complete individual person who has desires and goals beyond just her immediate family or her immediate duties as, wife and mother, which are very admirable things to do and be, like, and I really like that Hart says, like, I don't want to downgrade the feminine role of those, but it's also not against feminine nature to be intelligent and curious. Like, that's not, they're not opposites, and I feel like I felt like Jackie Cochran in many ways, she was so interesting because she obviously was pioneering the way in a lot of ways for the women, in the sense that she was the first woman in a lot of these male dominated spaces. But she, to me, gave off the vibe of like, but she's the exception to the typical woman. Like, I feel like the way she approached things was, well, women aren't normally fit to do this, but I am, because I'm different and I'm special. Yeah. And that was also really frustrating to read, because I'm like, don't you want, like, it made me upset that it felt like she didn't want to open the door for women as a whole. She wanted to open the door for herself as the woman that is capable of XYZ, as opposed to just women in general are capable. And I felt like she would be one of the people that saw, like, her intelligence or her courage or energy, like, as a masculine trait that she was just leaning into more, as opposed to being things that women inherently are,
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. That's such a good point. It's such a good way to say that. Like, you're right. Like, you're just right. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. She was a very frustrating
She was a frustrating read.
person to read.
It's so tough, too, because it's like, it's really good, I think, sometimes to really get hit with a good, a book about real people.
Yeah.
Because I do think we're currently in an age where I think, it's a little hard for a lot of people to like or maybe root for characters who aren't 100% pure in ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like if a character does any wrong at some points, a lot of people deem them as a bad character and write it off.
Right.
And then you're reading about actual people and you're like, how do you balance this thing where it's like this person was nowhere near perfect. They also did a lot of important stuff for history. And it's also like a real person that you have to have compassion for the decade that they lived in, for the stress they were under, but also really hold to actual, you know, like, you know, you have to hold them accountable for also the stuff that they did do that was quite minimizing to the movement, and like specifically her, like at the assembly, like, did I say that right? The council?
Yeah. The hearing, I think.
The hearing, yes. Like, essentially, it was like her and John Glenn, but really, it was her final word that shut it down. And just like reading like Cobb's reaction to that, where she was like, "We're supposed to have one more day," and I was supposed to have this whole like reactionary time where I could give my rebuttal and things like that. That was just like ripped away, and just for the sake of it being for them, what an easy hearing, what an easy decision,
right?
When it was like just her world crumbling in front of her. It's tough. Anyway, but it's true. She was a hard character to read about.
And especially like, I feel like the difficulty of her stance and like in the context of the whole movement that was trying to happen is that on page 162 she's like, well, I think we should keep testing the women, but we need to do like a lot more, because I don't really think this small handful can represent the whole, so like that's not enough for you guys to just say that women are capable of this. She's saying a select few don't represent the whole, and then she goes on to say, logical fallacy, that she says, well, I didn't feel like I was discriminated against, so there's no discrimination happening.
Oh.
And it's like, so these 13 women can't represent, you know, that women are capable, but your experience of no discrimination represents for all the women that they weren't discriminated against. It's like that you can't have both.
Okay. And what's crazy, you hear that to this day, people saying that in the current day, where it's like, feminism's not real because, or like, not feminism's not real. Feminism's not important because I am a woman and I don't get discriminated against. I mean, I have like a high paying job and I'm top at my company and I work with a lot of men, and, you know, nothing ever really happened to me or happens to me. Like, I feel quite respected. And then it's like you're reading about actual history and that line comes up and you're like, well, I'm reading about 100 pages that give me evidence that women are currently being discriminated against in the 1960s.
Yeah.
That really like make your point go to shame. And it's just like, I'm just telling anybody maybe in the modern day, if you're using that, take a look around. But that's so interesting. And it's true. And wasn't that when she said that, wasn't that during the hearing, and like one of a female senator brought it up in the first place, and then the man who was talking to her was like, well, I'm so relieved to hear that, since this was brought up by another woman.
Right.
And then Like, it's like men just like when someone feeds them what they want to hear.
Exactly.
Like, oh thank god. Oh,
they're
we're
like,
fine.
well, that must be the truth then.
Yeah. Meanwhile, every other woman in the room
forget
is,
all
like,
the other women saying,
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just, that was like so. And it's like, because she's not dumb. Like, this Jackie Cochran, she's smart. So it's like, I don't think it was lost on her that what she was saying was basically, she was using fallacy as her argument, you know? But it suited her, and it was in her best interest in a way. And so, you know, her best interest, I feel like, was more important to her than women as a whole's best interest. And, you know, that it was just hard to read.
Yep, it's true.
But yeah, the deprivation tanks, on a lighter note, the deprivation tanks reminded me of Stranger Things. I was like, oh, I've seen that before.
The deprivation tanks. Wait, okay, wasn't it, who was it who did that? Wally Funk? Was she the one who wore, was it a corset during her deprivation tank?
That was when she was doing like a motion simulate.
Yes. In the craft.
Around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl, she wore a corset. And it was what isn't it, like, misdone? And so it's like
so yeah, it said that they actually need compression on their legs, but she just like misinterpreted and compressed her internal organs.
Yes. And so it's like she made it harder on herself to do it. And she succeeded in spite of that. Like, some people made the argument that they were like, well, you know, like, she was corseted, so that was like helping. But like, she did it in spite of that. Like, it was not it was making it harder for her.
Yeah.
Girl, good for her. That was incredible. Like, I was like, it's like, you know, when like women, and it's kind of cringy sometimes to hear it, but they're like, and I did it in heels.
Yeah.
But it's like, but she did it in a corset, and it's like, that's real.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
that's history.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so interesting to, some of the, you know, the jargon kind of went over my head, but it was interesting to read about what the actual tests they were doing were, because I mean, I'm vaguely aware of, like, oh, you know, motion simulator and, you know, stress test and stuff, but it was just like interesting to hear the details.
Yeah, I know. And it made me think, I was like, I thank God I never have to do this. I would hate that. And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I was just looking into more women who went into space after this, and and I was looking at how long, like, their longest space travel was for. And, you know, one of them was like 31 days. And I was like, what? Like, as if like that was a direct threat to me at the moment. And I was like, oh, I never have to do that, so I'm fine.
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. But peace to you guys.
Well, I was having a lot of compassion and love for my 5th grade self, who told everyone I was going to be the first person on Mars.
Guys, wait, I remember the first time you told me that, and I know I've said this to you before, but you were like, I'm going to be the first person who's gone to Mars. And I was like, haven't we already gone to Mars? And you look at me and you go, no. I was like, oh. My bad.
So funny.
I just assumed we've done it all at
That's
the time.
So funny.
I was like, what do you mean we haven't gone to Mars?
But yeah, I've always been really into astronomy, and I was like, you know, math, and I was just like so set on that. I got that idea in my head when I was like 11 years old, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I was just thinking, like, if it wasn't for all these women, that wouldn't have crossed my mind when I was in 5th grade, you know?
No.
I wouldn't have thought. And I remember I specifically told everyone I'm going to be the first person on Mars, not the first woman. I'm going to be the first person, you know, because, you know, you hear of the first man on Mars, and then there's, the first man on the moon, and then, there's the first female astronaut. There's the first female to do this. There's the first. And I was like, no, I'm just going to be the first, you know? And it's like that, you know, in the 60s, the 11-year-old girls weren't thinking that, you know, obviously probably not Mars, but even just being an astronaut, like they probably weren't thinking that until these women,
Yeah.
you know,
Made it possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that
it's
was
like,
just like made me feel happy for like my younger self that I could have that dream, you know.
I know. It's so pure. It's like, yeah, you never had to hear people be like, well, girls don't go to space.
Right, right.
It's so nice.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also think it's just so interesting. It's just so much of this, it wasn't even about like so much of a destination. It was more so just about space flight in general
Yeah.
and just getting women to space.
Yeah.
And then it was like, you know, at the end, they talk about how the first moon landing, which was done by America, and it kind of marks the close of the space race in a lot of ways. And like just at least John F. Kennedy's vision. And they talk about, you know, how there's a quote, and it says something about like, God, it dawned on, I think it was Jerry Cobb who was having this realization, but it dawned on her that that men got so wrapped up in just getting the man on the moon, they forgot about everything else other than the fact that they knew they wanted to get to the moon, and they knew they had to have men in charge to do it. I don't know. I thought that was quite interesting. Because it's just, you know, I think when you're looking at throughout the history of the 1900s, there's a lot of things where, like, you know, male hubris gets in the way. And maybe it can be, maybe not completely blamed, but we're a little bit blamed for a lot of the situations we've gotten into, at least as America goes. And I just think it's so interesting. Like, yeah, like it was like really, really like we were ready to like throw out other parts of history, like other history making moments, just so the men can make history. And they're like, it's going to be such a point of national pride, right? Kind of, for like really for the white men,
right?
And I mean, everyone else sure will be really excited, but like all the women will know that can never be them. All the black men and black women will know that will never be them. Things like that,
right?
And it's
right. Like it wasn't convenient to include anyone else because they already had some momentum. So we're just gonna get there, and then you guys can catch up. And it's okay.
Meanwhile, then like Russia actually does make the history of having the first woman in space, and it's almost like kind of a real humbling moment, I would say, for America, where it's like the whole world is, in my opinion, like almost like a point and laugh situation where like, okay,
right.
So like what's up with you guys? Like this girl's not even like really qualified. I don't know a lot about it, by the way. There was like it was like one sentence in the book. So like, but like yeah, it's like she wasn't as qualified as the women who were training with Mercury 13, and like that I think is just a real like point and laugh situation where it's like you made a fool out of yourself, America.
Right. Very I told you so.
Yeah.
And there was another point in the book where one of the people, I should say, says like it turned from just like fighting to prove that they could do it to fighting for their right to do it. Because I think it's like at some point the men are kind of realizing they can do it, but we're just saying no. And then it's like, well, do you really have the right to say no to us? Like, you know, it wasn't about their capability anymore. It was about like a gender equality issue, you know?
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting too, because they were trying so hard to prove that they were capable, and it's like, well, they were capable, and I think it was becoming pretty obvious, you know? And so then it just became, do they have the right to say, you know, like, just discriminate, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly. Yeah, they didn't want to give up their spots. Yeah. Well, in all, I don't know. I thought this book kind of ended in a really lovely full circle way.
Yeah, me too. I liked it.
They talked about, obviously, Sally Ride, and it did take 2 decades. But there's a quote. I don't even remember what page it was on, so sorry. But, you know, like, just, like, watching Sally Ride get launched into space, and it's just, like, thinking that, like, really, she had been launched into space 2 decades earlier by 13 American women in the dream of space flight.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, like, really. And, you know, I think it's also quite beautiful that, and not all of them, because a couple, I think there were 2 women of the Mercury 13 who passed away not so too long after the events of actually this all took place. But I do think it's quite beautiful that most of these women were kind of at least able to like see the repercussions of like, you know, their first steps.
Right. Yeah.
Come to full fruition in a way.
Yeah.
And it's like, I appreciated seeing that, like, you know, especially because they were able to get together later in life, and one of them got to be able to say, like, in a room with you guys, like, I'm able to like really feel proud of like what we went through together. And it's just like, I think there's so many times in history when I think, you know, heroes don't get to feel that accomplished feeling or like proud of what they've done. But here it was so happy that like these women were able to really like see that because of them we were able to actually like have women go into space and be considered as much as possible, you know, equals in that way. And and they could like actually see it happen.
Right. And I think also, like, you know, it's like always like kudos to Martha Ackmann and other authors that take the time to like compose these books that cover so many stories, because I feel like it's a very like you said, it's a very hopeful thing to read, because, you know, we might be doing things in our daily lives that we feel like aren't having so much impact, but it's like, but if you take a step back and look at like a 30-year scope, it's like, well, look how, you know, these women that, you know, they quit their jobs and they wish they hadn't, but, you know, they quit their jobs to go do this test, and they thought it was going to lead to this, and it didn't lead to that for them, but it did lead to that for someone else. And like their sacrifices and the things they did were still helpful and worth something. And so just like as a person who's living in community with other people, like it's like hopeful and nice to be able to zoom out on something like that and see, like you said, a full circle moment.
Yeah, you're so right. I also love that like these women, you know, this battle and this experience and like the rejection of it all, I'm glad it didn't deter them from their love of like space and like just like the science of it all and like the achievements and the impact of making history in that way. Like like they all showed up for the, and I'm forgetting the name again, but the spacecraft,
the Columbia.
Is that really it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Columbia. I keep wanting to say champion. I'm like, there's no champion spacecraft. But yes, spacecraft Columbia. Yeah, like they were there, like cheering that on, or like, you know, Jerry Cobb had the moment with like Neil Armstrong, and like, you know, she still feels really excited by, you know, the achievements, even if like, you know, she maybe has so much sting behind not being able to, you know, make the history herself. But I don't know, I find that to be quite lovely and like really again, like we said earlier, it just like comes through like the love and the passion that all these women had for what they were doing and the overall mission. But,
I just think it was a really good nonfiction book to read, because like you said earlier, I also don't read a lot of nonfiction. I want to try to read more. It feels harder for me to get into sorry, there's a little something flying around. To get into like a nonfiction book feels more daunting to me, and so but the 2 that we've read on the podcast have been so rewarding to read. So it's like, I want to continue doing that. And this was like a good crossover of sort of our interest. I mean, me with the space stuff, and then really both of us with just like women's studies, and especially you with studying that in college. So I'm glad that we read it.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Me again. Like it's like I don't think I would have ever picked it up if it wasn't like your recommendation, and also just like knowing that you liked space. Again, I love women's history. I'm a little out of my depth with space.
Yeah.
But actually someone told me, they were like, I'm surprised you're not scared of space. And I'm like, it's because I spend so little time thinking about it that it's like it just hasn't crossed my mind yet. Like, give me enough time and I'm sure I'll become scared of it.
Yeah.
But
I love learning about space.
no, and I love that for you, truly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm it's again a book I would have never picked up, so I'm really glad I did get the time to actually sit and read it.
Yay.
Any
last thoughts?
Well, my last thought is that now I'm kind of excited to read our next book. Which, are we still up for it?
Yeah, because I still have it checked out, and they're begging me to send it back, so I need to read it.
Okay, let's do it, girl. So next month we're reading Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And if you guys don't know, Atmosphere is about I believe it takes place in the 80s. Does it say on the back?
Yes.
1980s,
yes.
A space program, NASA, obviously.
Oh.
And it's about specifically women. And well, like our main character is a woman, and I think she has a close relationship with other women on her team there. And so I hear it's a real banger of a book. A lot of people are really loving it, so I'm so excited. I feel like it's the perfect transition.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect, because I know that you had it on our list, I think, and I must have read your description that you wrote, and I was like, oh, I'm really interested in that, like, we should read it, but I completely forgot what it's even about at all.
Yes.
So that's exciting to hear. And also I didn't realize, I was talking to my friend Heidi about it, and she was like, oh yeah, I recognize that name. She did Daisy Jones and the Six and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I've never read either of those. I've never read a book by this author, but she seems to be very well liked and have some good books. So
yes, I've almost read every book of hers. I think I only have one or two that I haven't read.
Really?
Yes,
oh
I love her. She's really great. She does this thing where, you know, she writes about fictional events that feel so real to the point where you genuinely feel like you need to look up these people on the internet, and you're like, wait, but they don't exist, you know?
Wow.
So she's so good at creating like lived in stories. So I'm so excited for this one. I've been wanting to read it for so long, but I wanted to read it with you. So
yeah, there's like a huge wait list at the New York Public Library. So this is like over a month overdue. So they're probably gonna tell me that I owe them like $40 here soon, like for a lost book. But just if I turn it in, then it'll go away. But it's like, okay, I need to get this read.
Okay, perf.
But I didn't return it because I was like, I don't want to become 300th in line again. So
that's true. Okay, yay!
Yay!
Huge.
Okay, so then thank you everyone for listening to Read the Last Page. Our music and illustrations were created by the talented Sage Timothy.
Yes, if you don't know our schedule yet, we host our book club episode on the first Friday of each month. So for next month, we will be reading Atmosphere, like we said, by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That episode will be out on the first Friday of January. That is actually patent pending, and we do not know, but I'm assuming.
Just bear with us.
Yeah. Sometime in January. So be sure to pick up a copy and read it by then if you want to discuss it with us.
Before we get to the last page, though, we'll see you in 2 weeks again. Who knows, for a catch-up episode, which is Besties Talking. It's the holidays. We don't know what we're doing.
We're trying our best.
You can listen to us on your podcast platform of choice, or if you'd rather watch your podcast, you can find us on YouTube at Read the Last Page. For now, we want to say bye from B
and Dan.
Bye.
Bye.